I color matched myself at Sephora when I was in New Orleans. Fenty Beauty 430. True story. Absolute facts. I got to recolor match myself in the wintertime. Ladies, if you know, you know. Welcome to the Going Mach 5 podcast. I'm your host, Rashad Kenneth Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me. If we've already met, welcome back. If we haven't, welcome. Today, we are in the $12 million studio, and sitting across from me is a stand-up comedian.
Sometimes.
A proverbial giant. A Nina Turner advocate. I almost said Nat Turner. Nina Turner advocate, and subsequently the second most handsome person that I know.
Turn up.
Eric Harmon.
Thanks, sir.
How are you, brother?
I'm well. How are you, Shad?
I'm okay. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna come in hot. Nina Turner. Who is Nina Turner? How did she get railroaded? And why do I give a shit?
Ooh, boy. Nina Turner. She used to speak on behalf of Bernie Sanders when he was running for president those two times. She was basically his behind the scenes person that kind of advised him closer than anybody, so to speak. I forgot the exact title that she had, but it was like the senior title in his campaign.
Okay.
And she is also a state senator from Ohio, or former state senator rather. The most recent election was won actually by Shontel Brown,
Okay,
who ran against her in the primary. So she was also a Democrat, because Nina Turner's a Democrat.
Sure.
Even though Nina Turner is more of an independent, and a lot of the far left Democrats are more in line with progressive and independent values than they are that of the Democratic Party. But Nina Turner got railroaded by that same Democratic Party, because Shontel Brown was given an influx of money for the campaign like a few weeks before the actual election. And I believe it's Cleveland, wherever they're from in Ohio. That place was canvassed with a bunch of propaganda painting Nina Turner in certain lights that just aren't true at all. And it was funded by a lot of pro-Israel groups, some members of the Republican Party. They really out here are trying to maintain that eagle. The proverbial eagle we was talking about.
Hey, left wing, right wing, it's all the same eagle, man.
It's all the same eagle.
It is all the same eagle. Okay. What is she doing now, Nina?
She, most recent I know, she had a show on TYT Network.
The Young Turks.
Yeah.
Okay.
They gave her a solid 30-minute hour show, and she did some good work over there. I don't know how often she's posting nowadays, because I think that was a few months ago where it like slowed down a bit. But now she's pundit going on CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, all those, and speaking up on behalf of the more socialist, independent, progressive leaning parts of the Democratic Party. She's trying to work within the system. God bless her.
That's sweet.
It's sweet.
It's very sweet.
And I get it, but like most recently, I don't know if you're like following the Biden thing and all. Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier too.
Yeah.
But she's been advocating for Kamala Harris to take over. In lieu, which legally that should be the case. I don't agree with Kamala Harris on a lot of things, but it is what it is. And that would probably be the most common sense thing to do, in my opinion. It's not what we need. It's not what people even want.
What do you think we need?
I think that we need reformation in the most core levels of government and social interest. Number one, remove money from the election process. If people can't be bought, then you get people in there that actually want to be there. A lot of people see this as a pertinent power and business move, which in today's current climate, it very much is. But we need to take those incentives away in a way and make sure people are comfortable in doing what they need to do. But you know,
I don't mean to laugh.
Nah, bro.
Just because
it's so idealistic and utopian and all that bullshit.
And I feel like I was gonna say I don't mean to condescend, but I got to be honest, Eric. I do mean to condescend, because it sounds so nice.
It does.
The same way with Nina, is like she's trying to work within the system, and you're just like, well, no, if we just get people in there. I learned a very long time ago that the state of politics in my estimation, at this point, the state of politics is my side, your side.
Mhm.
And actually, we were talking before, and I brought up Jordan Peterson, and I openly said that I don't like a lot of the things that Jordan Peterson says. I originally said I don't like Jordan Peterson, but I don't know him personally to not like him.
Yeah.
He could be a very fine man. I don't know him.
Yeah.
I disagree with what we say. 80% of what he says
Solid.
is just like, But there's this 20% where I'm like, all right, JP, like broken clock is right twice a day.
Right.
You still don't want one. But like, he's not, I just disagree with him. It's fine. I'm sure he's a very lovely person.
He represents a segment of society that's very real. Sure.
And I love the stuff that I do agree with him on. I like am with him. Like, I get it. But he made a comment. I can't remember that guy's name. But he was on stage with a gentleman and he said, liberals need conservatives to tell them when things need to stay the same. And conservatives need liberals to tell them when things need to change. That's the way it should be, but that's not how we operate in this country. It doesn't always feel like it's my country, but it is my country. It's a country that I am a citizen of. And no matter who is the president, I'm going to support the president in terms of hoping you get the shit right. More often than not, they get the shit wrong. I've never been the president. It looks like I could possibly be the president if I tried a little bit right now. I would never want to lose that level of privacy in my life. But I think I've never had that job, and I have a tendency to not speak on jobs I've never had and talk about how easy things could be, because I don't fucking know what goes into being the president. I have an idea of what goes into being a politician in this climate, and it generally goes against who I am as a person. And the other side of that is that some of the elements of being a politician go exactly with who I am as a person in terms of being able to be bought off, because I can be bought off. And I know that. I'd be a terrible politician, Eric, because I could be bought off. Oh, you want this vote for, I was going to vote for you anyway. Like, what's that movie, Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Where he told me, he was like, how much you take for the bribe, Barber? And he was like, I didn't take the bribe. And Denzel was like, I didn't take the bribe. And he was like, yes, you did. How much was it? He was like, I can't remember how much it was, but he was just like, you were going to vote for them anyway. He was like, yeah, and I needed the money for my kids' tuition. I'm like, yeah, I could get bought off. My late father, I told him once, I was like, I couldn't be a politician. He said, why? And I said, because I could be bought. So, some money in a briefcase in a country club bathroom? Dude, I'm a whore. I am a money whore.
Man, just hit you with the briefcase.
Bro, I'll be like, yeah, that's cool. Ain't no dye packs in there. We good. Like, I'm fine. I told someone yesterday, I said, man, when it comes to sponsorships for this damn podcast, bro, I will do a Tampax commercial if the money's right. I don't know shit about Tampax.
I can't wait to tune in and see you hawking like Japanese taffy or some shit.
Bro, I promise you I'll do it.
Gentile taffy.
I think there is, I will say, I can be bought off. There is a level of integrity you do want to keep.
Completely.
Like, I wouldn't be coming up here praising 45 for money. I wouldn't do that. I ain't gonna say his name. I would not come up here praising 45 for money. And for the record, I wouldn't come up here praising 46 for money either.
Facts.
So I get it. But yeah, so that's who Nina Turner is.
That's who Nina, and so much more. She is an interesting person in my estimation, mainly because like she's genuinely trying to play within parameters of what's going on, because she herself has skin in the game, so to speak. I think her husband is a cop of some kind and her son is in the military. So she's not a person that is an all-out anarchist.
Sure.
But she'll
get painted that way though.
And she does completely.
Yeah.
Which, in fairness, parts of this need to get burned to the ground.
I agree.
I don't know how you feel about socialism, dude. Are you familiar?
Democratic socialism or nationalistic socialism?
The kind that scraps capitalism. Because that can mean different things for people.
Yeah, because my understanding is there's a difference between the socialism that was going on during World War II and the kind that Bernie was an advocate for. People just love to just say socialism because it's just easy to say that. Oh, I'm not a socialist. You sure?
Right.
There are a lot of terms that people love.
Have you used a public library?
All these buzzwords, all these buzzwords that people love to say and use, not understanding really what these terms mean.
Right.
It's just easy to be like, are you a socialist? Well, I mean.
And not knowing enough to understand the crowd that you might be speaking to and their definition of what those particular words are.
I'm pretty sure it's not even, I know democratic socialism, but it's also another form of, I think I said nationalistic, or maybe it's national socialism. But one, like I said, is World War II. I think we both know what I'm referring to. And the other is, like I said, what Bernie was for. It was almost like when Trump was in office.
Yeah.
And I'll say that if I can. When Trump was in office and he got healthcare for having COVID or whatever was going on with him at the time. But there was a point where he got socialist healthcare. That's what happened.
Let's face it, Noam Chomsky. You familiar?
I am.
Man, bro said it best. He was like, for the rich people, it's socialism. And Bernie said it too, but I heard Noam Chomsky first. For rich people, there's always socialism.
Like, always.
Think about even things as trivial as celebrity happenings. They go to places and get stuff for free all the time.
Sure.
Because they're part of the system.
When you eventually ascend to a certain level,
right?
Oh, you're on the level with us.
Yeah.
And now, hey, you get to have all this stuff that you worked so hard for your whole life. These are the people who worked hard for it, and they weren't just, chosen, if you will.
Right.
That can mean so many things. But like, or you weren't. I have nothing against nepotism, by the way, but I'll just say a person who is. Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, we gonna talk about that.
We might get to it right away, actually. But when you have a person who actually worked for it and you finally get there and now you can afford all those things you wanted, now they're just given to you for free.
Yeah.
Nepotism.
But the extracurricular stuff in life, if you work for that, that's completely fine. However, the level of entry for basic human needs, the things that make society function well, everyone being healthy, everyone being smart, everyone, having some sort of time to explore a vocation that might yield some sort of innovation that would benefit society in a very profound way. We need socialism in a certain type of way. Capitalism is not working for us right now. There's too many people at the bottom and it's getting full.
I'm going to say this, and I need to be very clear about my stance on this. I am a capitalist. Absolutely.
Are you a capitalist or you are a consumerist? Because I'm a consumerist and I'm okay with that. I need people to get the functions of society to build society up. But if they choose to use their talents and their ambitions to get those things that are beyond that just sustain them, the things that make them think, the production. And I understand a lot of production is based in capitalism. Capitalism takes advantage of a lot of laws and procedures that are in place.
Sure.
And without those laws and procedures, we might not get the same level of manufacturing that we are accustomed to. But we have to be okay with that in order for long-term success, in my opinion.
Well, to answer your question, am I a consumerist or a capitalist?
Right.
I am a capitalist. Crush the poor people. Keep them down at the bottom, under my fucking boot. You're nothing to me. I wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. When people ask me for money at a red light, I roll down the window just to spit on them. That's just. I was trying to see how long I could do that. No, I do catch myself sometimes. Like I'm never disrespectful. I'm not that guy. I do catch if I have change. I never have change. I never have cash. I don't carry cash. If I have something I can give them, I always do. I never judge because I personally don't judge anyone's circumstance because I don't know people's circumstance. I have no idea why you're out here asking for money,
right.
And I'm not gonna assume that you have. I'm not gonna assume what it took for you to humble yourself to the point where you just ask people for money. And I would never want to make that situation worse for you. I do believe that when I am on my way to and from work, there is a small part of me, a very small part, that my action is, hey, here's some money. I don't have anything else I can give you. There is a small part of me, and I won't say where I work because I make a point of not saying where I work. That place will hire anyone.
Nah.
It will hire anyone. And if it's a red light by my job, I'll be like, bro, walk 100 feet down the street and apply. They will hire you. But again, I don't know why. Maybe they can't get employment for a certain reason. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to act like I know. I don't know. You give from your heart. You do what you can. As far as me being a capitalist, yeah, fuck the poor people. Fuck them all.
But the system that affords people...
I'm joking, by the way.
Fair.
I need to be very clear.
No, a lot of people say, and like I take people mostly for sincerity when like they say things in certain tones. But like I knew you were joking about like spitting on him and all that shit. Okay. But the core of what you said, I was like, oh, he's a capitalist, or he sees himself as a capitalist. It's fine.
Sure.
It doesn't make feasible sense to not stabilize those on the lower part of the socioeconomic.
I 100% agree with you.
Because I feel like that leads to instability, that leads to the type of revolution that isn't productive.
I think that what I just did the thing that I hate, and I have to catch myself from doing it, is subscribing to a label. Because we said it before, this is not a black and white world.
Right.
This is a very rainbow world. And for me, I have a certain mindset with the way that I approach capitalism, the way I approach my business, and the way I approach handling my business, and the way that I'll eventually run my business. I also have an empathy and understanding for the people around me and people in general. So like, there's a complex way that I approach saying, I embrace the capitalistic views that I've always had without the core of what I feel is the core of capitalism, which is greed. And I said this literally yesterday. I love body cam footage.
Yeah.
I love watching body cam footage.
Yeah, it's wild.
I love it. And I'm going to tell you, for me I've had bad experiences with bigoted police officers. I've had great experiences with police officers. I'm a muscle-bound, tattooed black guy in America with a beard. There are cops that look at me inherently as a threat. And there are cops that are fair-minded and do their job and are just and fair, and God bless them. There have been a number of times where I have watched some body cam footage and said, y'all motherfuckers do not get paid enough to deal with this shit.
That's facts too.
Like, just, and I'm talking just people, no accountability. People just doing the wildest, dumbest shit. And then being like, why are you arresting me? Why? Like, bro, I don't like, Eric, race is a very real thing in this country.
Right.
I don't like it when one of us plays the race card when it does not apply.
Same.
Because you dilute the actual situations that we actually deal with.
Yeah.
You dilute those, and now people are like, just playing the race card. No, I'm not. If you're speeding, Eric, and you get pulled over for speeding, the cop didn't pull you over because you were black. He pulled you over because you were speeding. Are there rapists and murderers out here? Sure. That doesn't mean you weren't speeding, and it doesn't mean the cop isn't doing his job.
Right.
Now, I also think that there are police officers who have more leeway than they like to act like they do. And a lot of times you can get let off with a warning, and maybe there's a quota that needs to be hit. I know that to be true.
I know that to be true too.
I know that to be true. And my best friend's a cop. He'll tell me, oh yeah, for sure.
A certain family member of mine is a cop, or used to be a cop rather. And I've been in a literal morning meeting, and bro was like, he literally said the word quota.
Yeah. Like, but I'm curious, knowing, have you, by and large, have you had in general a good relationship with police officers?
Generally, yeah. Just strictly just speaking of people like humans.
Sure.
I know how to control my tone a little bit more, or not even control my tone, just, I don't know. I know how not to generally agitate people.
You know what's funny about that?
What?
That's...
Unless I don't care. If I don't care, then throw all that I just said out the window.
But see, here's the thing. You talk about the word privilege.
Yeah.
See, that's something you have to think about. You have to, let me control my tone.
Yeah.
But watching that body cam footage, there are a lot of people who don't look like us that do not control their tone.
Completely.
And are given every chance in the world to like, I saw this guy cuss this cop up and down, put his finger in his face. Cop, you ain't gonna do shit. I'll take your fucking gun. The cop said, you're not gonna do that. He's like, I'll take your fucking gun. And the guy said it 6 or 7 times. So finally the cop was like, are you threatening physical harm against me? He was like, yeah, and I'll take your fucking gun. He's like, all right, sir, put your hands behind your back. And it was the most, for it to be so aggressive on one side, it was still the most peaceful arrest I've ever seen. I'm not entirely certain I could get away with that. There's a luxury that certain people have, that other people don't. I don't think you should talk to a trusted public servant like that in general, unless they have earned it.
Yeah.
You know, if you earned it by your ego trip, I've seen that body cam footage where I've seen a cop walk up and he is just in control of the situation. A1, everything's cool. Everything's cool. Everybody's in order. All right. And then that second cop comes up and he got to put his dick on the table. And then the first cop got to be like, no, I got it. We good. Like everybody, the energy is cool here.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to throw your ego here. Like your power. You don't have to do that. Like we're good. Everything is getting sorted out. Now here's the agitator. The agitator comes in. For you to feel this way about police officers, what made you date a police officer?
Being young and seeing beautiful women.
That'll do it.
Walking through 5 Points. I was like, what, 19, 20? Mm-hmm. Seeing this girl look like a young Jada Pinkett, like Jada Pinkett. And
Jason's lyric Jada Pinkett?
No, different world Jada Pinkett.
Oh, shit. Okay, cool. Keep going.
So me and her start talking, and turns out she lives in California with her mom. And her mom had some high power job, and she got a house out here in Swanee. That's why she was out here visiting. Mm-hmm. And her mom ended up staying. She went back and stayed with a friend of the family. Mm-hmm. So I went out there a few times in Hayward, California. Hey, state. But it was a good time. I enjoyed it out there until, I didn't.
How long were you out there?
For stints, I had like 4 or 5 trips out there, totaling probably about 3-4 months. Mm-hmm. Like it was over the span of about 2 years, 3 years. Mm-hmm. That was a good time, except for like that last part.
It was a good time until when?
So as we previously mentioned, she was a police officer or studying to become a police officer because we were both young and you had to be 21 to become one. Mm-hmm. So she's studying and we're talking and it's mostly long distance. And I go out there and she graduates and it's a nice time. We go to this club in San Francisco and it's an underground club. And when I say underground, like literally down into a cellar somewhere.
Jesus, okay.
But it was thumping though.
It was lit? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So great time, place is packed, it's super hot. I'm buying like Irish car bombs and stuff because that's what everybody was drinking. Her little police friends and whatnot.
How many people asked you if you play basketball?
Everyone.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Like, I'll be fucking people's heads up with that though.
That's your life though.
Yeah.
That's your whole life. Yeah.
I'm just like, no, I played U.S. Olympic badminton. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And I just
keep
such
walking. A troll. I would do it too. I get it. Go ahead.
Telling people I was on like the 2008 Olympic badminton team. They're like, really? Like, no.
It's so random.
No.
It's so random. I like it though.
But yeah, so we're having a great time. And I think I'm about to have my first threesome of my life because,
nice.
As
one does.
Yeah, I'm watching the scene and it's developing. And I'm like, yeah, this is a great time. And the club's over. It's like 3 a.m. I go up some steps and I walk outside. And the first step that I take outside, I get punched in the face by like a little 5'5" little dude, little Mexican dude. And I'm stunned and I grab him because I'm really drunk at this point. And I kind of sling him around a little bit up against the car. And the police thought I was the agitator in that situation, apparently. And I didn't see him. Dude pulls out his baton and just starts trying to chop me down like a damn tree. I had like welts on the back of my leg for a long time. But I'm drunk, so I don't go down.
Sure.
And this is also like really great in shape 21, 22-year-old Eric.
Sure.
So the little Mexican dude runs and gets away. I look up and I realize I've walked into some sort of melee or gang fight.
Okay.
And at this point too,
you accidentally ran into a gang fight?
Yeah, in San Francisco.
Okay.
And at this point, one of the officers jumps on my back, and I'm still drunk, and I'm carrying this dude down the block, and another one just keeps hitting me in the leg, and eventually I go down, and I'm on the pavement, and they're doing a little handcuff thing, and they put me in the back of the paddy wagon, and all this while a gang fight or whatever the hell is going on.
Sure.
And I'm in there by myself, and he opens the door, the police officer that is, and he shows me the dude that hit me initially. I have a general no snitching rule unless it has to do with like women, kids, neighbors, things of that nature. So a fight, hey, it happens.
Is that snitching though?
It's not really, but like personal thing, I don't like getting police involved too much in anybody else's life, even if they surface level did something I didn't care for, like a punch in the face.
That's such an, like, you're minimizing the shit out of it. The surface level, something I didn't care for, like punching me in the fucking face. Yeah, I don't think I would care for that either.
Like, I've been in enough fights to not see a fight as like a huge deal in my life.
Sure.
And not say like I'm out here like rumbling everybody in the streets, because I'm not. I ain't been in a fight in like a decade.
Nah, man. I seen you rumbling.
But like, it's just, yeah, just some.
You just didn't want to.
Right. So, and I'm very drunk. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, this is also a variable I have to keep remembering.
Yeah, so I hit him with like a fucking line out of a movie or something. I was like, yo, he's like, this dude that hit you? I'm like, I don't know, but if it is, tell me hit like a bitch. And the cop started laughing, and I was like, don't laugh, y'all hit like bitches too. And he slammed the door in my face. And also, pro tip, if you have cuffs behind you and you put them underneath your legs and, to get out, apparently that's evading arrest. So don't do that. Because next time he opened the door, I was doing, he's like, we're going to charge you. Like,
yeah, my big ass couldn't do that, but
fair.
But thank you for the tip.
But I heard my girl on the outside, she was, talking to the local authorities, getting me out of the situation, which she eventually did. So I exited the paddy wagon and we went home. And also we went and she picked up a couple of her friends who had also graduated with her. And I noticed when I was on the ground, they were across the street and they didn't look like they was about to action, which looking back, understandable. They 21, 22-year-old kids too. They trying to, sort everything out because they walked to the same thing I walked into.
Sure.
But I was really berating them on the trip back to their homes. Jesus, I was like, y'all the fucking police, and like, y'all ain't secure shit. Y'all like just really chop. Which, looking back in my in more mature years, they didn't really deserve it, but they got it though, and I apologize to the universe for that one.
Did you ever apologize to them?
No, I never saw them again.
Even her?
When we got back to her house, she was like, I don't think this is working out here. You clearly don't have respect for authority. And I was like, maybe. And shit, like 2 days later, I was on a plane back to Atlanta.
Wow.
Never saw her again.
Did she ever reach out to you? How long ago was this?
2009? Somewhere around there. 2008, maybe.
I wonder if she's still a police officer.
I don't know. I'm gonna Google it later.
Look her up, man. I want to see if she's still a police officer. That I don't know if I'm over here just co-signing like, yeah, when you're drunk, I've never been drunk before, so I don't fucking know. But
also, in fairness, her personality over the 2 years that I was talking to her, the deeper she got into police work, and this is why I say America really takes advantage of public servants.
Sure.
She was telling me a bunch of like horror stories about not only how police treated the patrons, but also how they treated each other. And she explained something to me that I kept with me, especially when my family member became a police officer. She was like, yo, clean cops don't tell on dirty cops, because clean cops have to be protected by dirty cops. If you're out in the field and somebody's shooting at you and the closest one is a dirty cop who you told on.
Yeah, it's a lot of politics in that. It absolutely is.
Right.
I couldn't, a friend of mine who I'm very funny about going into too much details as far as identity, But he told me, he was like, one, we know the cops that are dirty, where he was like, I know the cops that are dirty. He said, and other good cops will talk to each other about the dirty cops. He's like, but it's not that easy to just be like,
right.
He's like, because we still have to work together in a space that's life or death.
Politicking.
Right. And I understand there are people that have this this mentality of there's no such thing as a good cop. Okay. That's your opinion. Not saying you're right, not saying you're wrong. But I've seen this weird, I want to say this the right way. It's, I think, kind of going back to what I said before, when you've never had a job, it's very easy to say what you should do at this job. Now, by and large, I'm talking about jobs that are very intricate. I don't have to be a quarterback in the NFL to know, hey, don't throw it to the other team.
Right.
I can comment and say, hey, you shouldn't do that. Now, as far as X's and O's, you should have checked down. And they're like, yeah, should have checked down. He was in the flats. He was open, whatever. I don't know about all that. But I do know if you're the quarterback of the offense, you shouldn't throw it to the defense. But yeah, I couldn't imagine, man. I could not imagine. Me and a young lady talked before, and she was a police officer. We didn't get too far into us getting to know each other, but it had nothing to do with her being a police officer, because I didn't know at first. And she didn't allow her job to kind of change her natural general demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also I've had friends that were police officers temporarily. Mm. And I watched it change them, and they saw it change them, and then they got out because they were like, I don't like the way. And then on top of that, like I said before, cops don't get paid enough as it is.
Right.
So like, you don't get, look, if you are a just, kind, fair-minded person and you want to protect and serve, I think that is the most honorable thing. I also think you should get paid a lot more to do that if you are that type of person and putting your life on the line every single day to these crazy motherfuckers that are out here.
Right.
Now, that doesn't give you free reign to just act a fucking ass, because if you take an insecure person who's never had power, and I don't like to use this word, but if you take a beta personality,
that's so much of the police population, I think.
Yeah. I've met a good amount, and I met a cop that was a bigot and didn't realize he was a bigot. He didn't realize that his policies were racist, not his policies, but his way of going about things.
Core values, maybe.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna see, because he'll never see this because no one watches this anyway. But
people will watch.
Yeah,
you're gonna be the next Larry King, bro.
Maybe I could do it for as long as he did it.
Yeah.
He told me that the way he picks out a criminal, he said it's like separating. It's like pepper. He said you separate the colors in pepper, and I said, are you openly telling me that you separate the black from the white? Is this what you're telling me right now? He's directly telling me that is what he's doing. And I said, so I can't be the dark part of the pepper and be in this light part of the pepper's neighborhood? He was like, I mean, usually that's not the case. And I said, just existing, not doing anything suspicious.
Yeah.
Not doing anything at all, jogging like I do every day, you would check to make sure that this dark part of the pepper belongs. I said, why? And I said, so in essence, what you're saying is you do it based on the color of people's skin. No suspicion, no, hey, we had a report of this. You just check to make sure.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I said, we're done here.
That's wild.
We're done. He was but when I ended the conversation that abruptly, after we had a very long conversation, him and I talked a little later, and I'm not going to say he softened his stance, because he didn't, but he said that me ending the conversation, he didn't understand why I was just like, all right, cool. And he said he had to go back and think about why I did that. Now, I don't know if that meant thinking on why he was doing what he's doing, or maybe he should just say it in a different way next time, like to not make it as egregious and obvious as to what he's doing. But wherever he's at, I hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
As much of a bigot as he is, he still doesn't get paid enough to do his job. That's just me being objective.
It's just like, I would like to think that no police officer spends 100% of the time being completely corrupt.
Sure.
Like,
I will say this. I'm okay with a little corruption with cops. And this is what I mean by that.
You mean functional corruption where it gets the bigger fish that is at the actual like thing, which it never really does.
I would say I am perfectly okay with that, what you just described, and I'm perfectly okay with being again, it's a job I've never had, but from what I've been told, I'm perfectly okay with a police officer figuratively being handcuffed by certain policies that stop them from doing their job in a way where they actually get criminals.
Right.
Like, for example, I watched, my deep dive on YouTube. I told you it's body cam footage, but also like when those guys show up to meet those underage kids and they get exposed. I love when they melt down and just don't tell my wife. And I love that.
Some of them run.
I love it. It's delicious. Eric, I love it so much. Like my blood pressure just went up. I love it so much. Like Homelander. Like you see me twitching. I love this shit so much. And I saw a catch where the evidence that the catcher had on the guy was concrete. The cop saw it. He saw the chat. He saw that the guy initiated conversation. He brought up sex first. He initiated the meet. He sent the pictures. He showed up to meet. That's what, 4 or 5 felonies right there. But based on their DA in that county, the DA won't take those cases. So the cop had to tell the catcher, look, your evidence is ironclad. He's like, I can see it right here. He said, but the DA is not letting us take these cases. Let me see what I can do. So they go and they run the guy's ID and they find out that he was an RSO. And through some maneuvering, they said, okay, he's an RSO for this reason. Let me make another phone call. So he's an RSO for this reason. Hey, is he allowed to be on apps like that? And it turns out he is, but they said, well, what email address did he use to sign up for those apps? Then they found this cop is doing this extra legwork to go around the politics of catching this guy that he knows was going to harm a child. He said, well, what email address did he use? And he used an email address. Part of his RSO status is he is supposed to register all of his email addresses. And this is one that he did not register.
Oh, that's crazy.
So when he didn't register it, it was, we got him. Then he took him in. And that's when it's, okay, you see a guy violated his RSO status. Now, I also have this evidence from this chat that he had with his child. Here's how we came across him. And that's how he got all the other felonies tacked on.
That is good police work.
Exactly. So I'm okay with a cop being like, all right, we got to go around. We got to circumvent these politics because we really need to get this guy.
Yeah.
I loved seeing him just go around, just do this and do this. And well, and he was really thinking outside the box. Guys like that need to make detective immediately. But a part of me is like, if he makes detective, does he still get the chance to circumvent those politics? Does
probably even more.
Well, as a detective, does that even make it to his desk? If you have a police officer who is just on patrol and is, I don't know, man. I think we've all had a job, and you have a very fucking cool one. I think we've all had a job. Okay, you're being nice. All you had to do was say that I love so much. What's the yeah, there we go. I had to make sure it was okay to say. I think we've all had a job where we know, okay, here's the common goal.
Yeah.
Here's the bottom line. Now, how do we get here within the parameters that are restricting us?
Yeah.
And I respect anybody who can make it to that point. Now you said off camera, IT, that's your thing. Clearly very intelligent. The 7-year-old boy in me, pause, wants to hear more about you. And I know you can't discuss intricacies.
Yeah.
what do you do as far as
I'm simple, bro. I'm like base level all the way. System specialist. Been one for 2.5 years. Um, Basically setting up any sort of IT networking or infrastructure people might need, including equipment, software specialized to whatever client that we have that we're working for. I can say this one, Georgia Film Academy.
Okay.
We worked with Georgia Film Academy, set up like 200 different workstations over the course of a couple of years, and just make sure everything flows well within the network, including like mini IT closet data center type stuff that goes out into different parts of the building, and you know.
And you are not yet? Like, what is, you know what I mean? Yeah. What is it, if you can talk about it?
Yeah.
What is it that you do with?
We work with a certain post-production company.
Sure.
That basically just does all the in-house post-production work for. And in fact, we're gonna blank them out too.
Okay.
I don't want to violate.
I got you.
But it is really nice to see that process of the people behind the raw footage.
Sure.
That gets turned into all these different magical scenes that people enjoy.
Yeah.
Seeing certain elements of certain movies in their actual reality state.
That's dope.
Knowing what they are later, and I'll tell you about one specifically later.
Okay.
Oh wait, I can tell you now because you're gonna edit it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll edit.
Full conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always really interesting to see that type of thing. When people who know more than me in that particular arena, they go, "Oh, you see that over there? That is this named infamous scene."
Oh wow.
And you're like, right there, that's what happened.
Like, I have to be very careful with what I say to make sure I don't give away what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just think that's very cool.
Thank you.
That's where we will stop right
and that's
there,
that's part of what I do too. We do that type stuff, do a lot of cabling infrastructure, setting up like the networks. Like I said, really to me, learning the intricacies of networks is the most interesting part of what I do. Seeing how everything moves within a network, the flow of information, and who's privy to certain things, and creating zones within the same building that kind of segment off from each other in these little splinters. It's
I wish I did something as cool as that. Instead, I just sit up here with stupid too tight shirts on and try to get canceled.
It's cool as hell, Shot.
That's I
like
you rub it in.
When we were background story, me and Shad known each other for what 20 plus years.
That's actually okay.
That's interesting.
You and I don't know if I ever brought this up to you, and maybe I did and I just don't remember. I know that I saw you, or we
see each other randomly throughout the years.
I know you. Okay. I feel like, and I don't know if I've ever said this to you, not Chapel Hill, Southwest was not the first time we met.
Really?
It was not. And I want to be very clear about something. I could be dead wrong, and I'm just getting old. Early onset Alzheimer's does start in your 30s. People think that, oh, I just can't remember this thing. Oh, I forgot that. No, you have Alzheimer's. And as a person who in his entire life did not get enough sleep, lack of sleep statistically and biologically aids in speeding up. The people who don't get enough sleep over the course of their life have a higher chance of getting Alzheimer's. Excuse me. That is absolutely true. Did you ever go to the Southwest YMCA?
Yeah, dude.
Okay. That's where I met you. And I never said this to you before.
That's crazy.
That's where I met you. And I remember exactly where we were. It was like a summer camp or a day camp.
Yeah.
I remember because, oh God, this is such a core memory. Okay. And we are experiencing this in real time. You and I were at this summer camp, and there were other kids there. And we were the only two kids that weren't absolute future inmates. We were the only two. I remember that.
Probably.
Because it was a group of kids.
There's a couple camps I went to like that.
And I was only there for one day. And I remember I went to that camp for one day. And I can't believe I remember this. I remember there was a recording device. It was a toy.
Yeah.
And I remember kids, when you're young, you have a fascination with curse words. I remember this. This is crazy. And I remember the kids had this toy that could record your voice. And they were legitimately just saying curse words into this toy. And I remember like looking at them and being like, this isn't my idea of fun. I don't curse. Like, I'm fucking 12. Like, I don't curse. And I remember the only other one that was there that wasn't cursing was you.
I was chilling. I was probably playing basketball or something.
You were very, like, we were on a field somewhere, but you were also as docile as I was.
I'd be chilling, bro.
Like, you did not fit in with those kids, and neither did I. And I remember saying, because of you, like, your presence being there was like, okay, there's another kid that's like me.
Yeah.
But because of those other fucking hoodlums, I said, you know how like you know the buzzword thugs that you see on Fox News, and then you really code for black people. They were some thugs. Yeah. That's who they were. Yeah, there were some thugs that I want that bigot cop to come into the neighborhood and separate.
Right there, officer.
Yeah, it's them. I'll just check them, pat them down real good. Yeah, because I will call the authorities.
I always felt like I was a bit of a omnivert in that way.
Sure.
Where it's like, because I didn't have words to put to it till I discovered Dr. Cornel West.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, especially within black people in this country, you need to have a lot of different personalities.
It's to survive.
Yeah, of course, always have your base level personality, but like, what's the word he used? Equivocalities, I think it was. He's like, I have thug equivocalities.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's a word. I say equivocally.
Yeah.
Like a lot. That's building on it. Okay.
I want to say, is that the right word? I want to make sure
it might be.
Yo, edit this out if if the word is wrong. I'm gonna look it up later.
Okay. All right, cool. We'll do it.
But Cornel West, he put the point forward that you have to have all these things in your personality in order to be a well-rounded person.
Of course.
And the people that enjoy life the most, I think, are either well-rounded people or people that are completely ignorant to everything.
Oh, we got a lot of those people. But I think the issue, I agree with you. The issue that I always had growing up within myself and actually going to therapy helped me with this when I got older was, do I have multiple personalities in terms of, what I need to accentuate for the time being?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I being fake?
Right.
And like, I had to really, within myself, I never said it out loud to anyone until I went to therapy. It was really just about, man, how come I turn this up when I'm around this person, or I turn this up when I'm around this person? And I had to really think, well, do they have to be mutually exclusive?
Right.
Is there anything in here that's conflicting with another one? And the truth is no. At my core, I'm me. Like, that is who I am. When I need to soften up, for example, yesterday I went to a minor league baseball game.
Hey.
And when I went to a minor league baseball game, it was Ronald Acuna Jr. bobblehead night.
Yeah. Was it Greenville?
No.
Gwinnett?
Gwinnett Stripers. And I remember I intentionally bought these tickets 6, 7, 8 weeks ago because I knew it was Ronald Acuna Jr. bobblehead night.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. I knew that I wanted that bobblehead.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I bought the tickets. So I end up going, and I'm there. And as I'm walking in, there's an elderly couple, like, in front of me. And I went with someone. I went with my homeboy. And there's an elderly couple in front of me. And he doesn't see them. I do. They're not in front, but they're kind of like off to the side. And we kind of have to merge into one little line so that we can go in. So I say, hey, hold on. Let them go. Go ahead, please, man. Go ahead. And it's an elderly white couple. This is important for context. And they go in, they scan their ticket, they walk in. And as we walk in, Eric, I shit you not, it's like that episode of Full House when Michelle jumped in front of Stephanie after Stephanie was tired of Michelle's shit all day. Like, why does Michelle always get what she wants? Fucking bitch. And Stephanie was just fucking pissed. And finally, I think it was DJ, I can't remember who it was. Just like, just let Michelle go in front of you when they were at Disney World.
Yeah.
Or Disneyland. They were in San Francisco. It was probably Disneyland. And they were rubbing that lamp. And one random person every day, if you rub that lamp, you won a prize and you were like the queen for the day or some shit. And finally, Stephanie's like, fine, Michelle, go in front of me. And Michelle goes in front, rubs the lamp, and then she is the queen for the day. And Stephanie is pissed. By the way, hashtag justice for Stephanie. But exact same thing happened.
Yeah.
When that elderly couple walked in, the guy at the table said, here are the last two. And gave it to them. Now, in my heart, it was, no, I did the right thing by letting them go.
Yeah.
Now, innately, I can't help but feel, son of a bitch. And you can only laugh at it. Like, oh, it's not going to stop me from doing kind or courteous things in the future. But I also believe, and I've always said this, everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
And I noticed how this elderly woman was looking at this bobblehead. She didn't know what this was. So me being me, I said, all right, ma'am. And I had to soften myself because I am a big black guy with tattoos and beard and a bald head. And this white woman, this old white woman, I do not know how her and her husband are going to feel.
Right.
And I'm behind them at this point. I'm still behind them. And I said, all right, ma'am, how much for the bobblehead? Name your price. See how my voice changed right there?
Yeah.
I have to. That's what black people have to do. It is about survival.
That's what successful, smart people have to do.
Yes.
Like,
and I'll say this, innately, there's an element at play that might not be at play for a person who doesn't look like me.
Yeah.
There's a cognizance that I have to have. And you're right, successful, smart people do that. No matter what color you are, successful, smart people do have to have that. But for me, it's okay. For us, it'd be this extra element of, and you're tall. You're like 8'9".
Yeah.
So you have to
kind of approach people from a distance.
Because they're going to turn around and look and be like, oh, shit.
I actively try to stand back a little bit from people when I talk just for that reason.
I said, all right, ma'am, how much for your bobblehead? Name your price. And I said, I am so serious. And she just politely, she turns around, she sees me. And I make a point to keep my distance a little bit. I'm not all up on her because she got two Negroes right there behind her. And she just looks at her husband. She was like, here you go. And this is what I do, Eric.
Yeah. People are sweet. People wanting to be sweet, man.
Thank you so much. What would I do without you? I said, thank you. This is so nice. You're so kind. Thank you. Now, would I be grateful if it was anyone? Of course.
Yeah.
Obviously. But it was also the perception, being able to perceive, oh, she don't care about this bobblehead.
Yeah.
And two, I didn't say, go up her begging. Can I please have, no.
Please.
Like, I said, how much for it? I was legitimately ready to pay her for it. Like I would, if she had said $10, cool. What's your Venmo, Cash App? What you got?
Yeah.
But in a situation like that, it was like, all right, make sure you at least approach with the respect of, I will compensate you for this.
Yeah.
But also, she's probably not going to ask me for any money. And wherever she is, I am so grateful for her. And I'm so appreciative that she gave me that. Sitting in the other room right now. Maybe one day I'll get Ronnie to sign it. Maybe not. I don't really care about autographs like that.
We're in Atlanta. You probably see him randomly around the city for real.
Probably hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, hanging out with his interpreter, doing his thing. Because you'll see some motherfuckers in Atlanta, boy. I don't know if I can say this word on YouTube. YouTube is funny.
What does it rhyme with?
Flaccid.
It rhymes with flaccid.
Yes, it does. It rhymes with flaccid.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. What?
Let's say lemon juice.
All right. What's it like doing lemon juice with white people?
It was interesting. I have a friend who's a chemist, right? And for about 2 or 3 years, bro was telling me the benefits of lemon juice.
Nigga's BFFs with Walter White. He's like just cruises right past it. Go ahead.
Bro, super smart though. He wasn't the synthesizer. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna put it out in the world, but he's not the synthesizer. But you know, people know people.
Jesse, sure, he was Jesse. He wasn't. Yeah, okay.
So
that's enough. I'm not gonna do any more Breaking Bad.
Fair.
Yeah. Go ahead. I got it out of my system.
So he's a very peaceful person himself.
Sure.
and he was telling me all the benefits, and me and him had already developed a rapport. We worked together, and we became friends over the course of 7 years working with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So first couple years, he's trying to get me to experience lemon juice, and I'm like, nah, that sounds like some white people stuff.
So you shut it down immediately. That wasn't your thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
The job that I had, I was a deposition processor at a company that handles that sort of thing. So I got a bunch of court proceedings that were unedited, and I was told to format them with a bunch of computer programs and send them out to lawyers, right?
Sure.
So I could do that with headphones in. Over the course of me through these years with my headphones in, I went down the YouTube rabbit hole. I've learned so much about so many weird things that it is not even funny, among which lemon juice. And I extensively listened to a lot of things about its history, its effects, its long-term effects, especially because that's the part that really, to me, when I was a kid and things were described to me of that nature, I was like, that job probably make you stupid for the rest of your life. I would say actually quite the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. It develops your sense of reality in a different way. Not better or worse, just different.
Okay.
You have no choice but to see everything different after, especially that first experience. And every subsequent experience, to me at least, has been very nice. I like the thoughts that I have while I'm on it. They're very introspective. They give you visual effects, and to me at least, it makes me understand that the experience that I have, one, I should cherish it very much because it's very much unique. Nobody is going to see the version of what I see ever.
Sure.
And two,
this is so interesting.
And two, is it really like finite? Is reality is finite, or is it just a perception of what we see completely? Because if what I'm seeing through these eyes of mine is so warped and distorted, is that another layer of it, or is that just another layer of me?
I'm not high enough for this right now.
That's
man.
fair, bro. I tapped the bleeds before I came over. So
oh my God, I've never been high before, but
like never.
Nah,
that's amazing. Keep the streak going, bro.
It's just not my thing, man.
That's fair.
But sometimes when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, yo, that would be like, this would be the perfect time for me to be elevated.
You know about I don't know. It's an acronym, so I guess you can bleep out at least one letter of it to get around YouTube.
Sure.
DMT. Ever heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know the function that it has on the natural level rather than the synthesized narcotic, I guess.
No, I think we're entering into the Joe Rogan portion of the podcast, but go ahead.
Fair.
Yeah.
DMT is what your brain releases when you die.
Yes, I have heard that.
The proverbial white light. It's also some stuff that some dude synthesized and sells, and you can get some. And people, and I haven't gone down that rabbit hole just because I think that certain things should be experienced more in a holistic and organic fashion.
Absolutely, I can see that.
Like I don't want to see what I'm going to see jumping into that.
I just is everything about death. I just kind of keep to where it's gonna be. Like, God, there was a question somebody asked. I think it was on TikTok. It wasn't TikTok because I'm not on TikTok because I'm an adult, but it was on. I'm joking.
Only way people should be like, I ain't gonna say only way because you like what you like.
Right. I'm
like,
and I'm on TikTok. I have a TikTok. This podcast has a TikTok. I haven't posted anything on it yet, but this podcast has a TikTok. I have a TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok scrolling.
Yeah, I feel like adults got like business purposes on TikTok. That's like,
sure,
you could never really truly throw TikTok away because it's viable.
Right. And on top of that, like I tell you what I don't have. I don't have a Snapchat. I think I had Snapchat for like 2 weeks. And now for Snapchat, I will say, I don't have a Snapchat because I'm an adult. It's the same reason I don't watch Wizards at Waverly Place. If you know, you know.
Anything beyond IG nowadays for me is very much a sensory overload.
Yeah. It's a lot. And honestly, the TikTok thing. There was a TikTok I saw where someone said, if you could know the date that you were going to die, or the place that you're going to die?
Yeah.
Would you want to know? And I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because if you told me time, absolutely not. The place to me would be even scarier. Because if you gave me the exact GPS location of where I'm going to die, I would be mortified because I would say, wait, I'm going to die in this spot right here in this apartment, but I'm moving in 6 months. Like, so am I not going to make it? To me, that would be absolutely terrifying. Anything about death and you talk about grief, and I told you my father passed away 2 years ago.
My condolences, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anything about death, I just kind of I'm very mindful of it. I'm very mindful of people spending time with their families. Even in a space where I risk kind of bringing the mood down a little bit, because I'll tell people, hey, spend time with your dad. Like, even if it's a younger person, I don't say younger, like 15, 16, 17 years old. And I'm like, hey, a time's going to come where you're going to think you know everything if you're not already there right now. And like, your dad's going to call you and you'll be like, oh, I'll call him back later. No, pick up the phone. Like, spend time with your family. If you have that great relationship with them, I would never tell somebody force a relationship with anyone. But my dad was very much in my life. And I think about him every single day. And losing him, aside from seeing Madam Web, it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. I hate that you didn't even flinch when I said, aside from seeing Madam Web, losing my father, I left a YouTube comment that actually says...
That's more Marvel stuff.
Yeah. I left a YouTube comment that said, this movie is so bad. I don't like to critique people's art.
Yeah.
I said, this movie is so bad that my father passed away 2 years ago. And if I had the chance to resurrect him and we could do one thing, and the one thing that we could do together was watch Madam Web, I would tell him to stay dead. That's how fucking bad that movie is, man. It's fucking terrible. And I don't know who's at fault for it. It's just god awful. And I love my dad, but I wouldn't do that to him. My dad will haunt the shit out of me if I did that.
Why'd you do that, son?
Yes.
Like, I could have stayed where I was at.
He could have gone to heaven with great memories, and instead his last memory is watching this dumbass fucking movie. Have you had to deal with a lot of grief in your life? Like, how
Over the
how
past
do you
decade,
approach it?
probably, yeah.
How do you approach? Because everyone approaches it differently. It's a cliche phrase, but it's true. When you have to deal with grief, how do you face it head on?
I feel like with the things that could be considered sad in that way in my life, involving passing away and dealing with everything that comes with that, may as well go at it straightforward. My grandmother raised me. She was an older lady who paid attention to her health in a certain type of way.
Sure.
She understood that death was imminent, but she also understood that life is actually the reality that you're living right now. So try to make the most of that. Keep your body in a certain way.
Sure.
Keep your mind in a certain way, and make sure that you're putting the correct things into it for not necessarily even longevity, but just a good time within your own particular meat suit.
Sure.
She talked about death almost like, it was interesting because my grandma also she was born in Macon, Georgia in 1934. Yeah.
Okay. All right. She done seen a few things.
She had 12 brothers and sisters? Very close to my Aunt Claire, who's her younger sister by 7 years, right? They both had basic Black people ailments. Diabetes, high blood pressure.
Yeah.
My grandma, that's why she changed up a lot of what she was doing by the time I had come around, because 60s, 70s, 80s, she ate what she wanted pretty much, and that portion of life had processed food emerging, so people were gorging themselves on it.
Sure.
I'm not sure if she got to the gorge stage, but by the time I came around, she was very much turning the leaf over into health. But her and her sister talked about death all the time. Like, oh, might be out of here soon. Like,
Jesus.
Everybody would in the family just be like, all right, bro. Like 20 years solid, just, all right. And sometimes it'll be very valid. I have certain instances in my childhood where, like, my grandma had to go to the hospital. I remember being like 10 years old riding the bus back home from Grady by myself because my grandma got admitted into the hospital because her blood sugar was like 500 or something. You remember when they had a McDonald's connected to Grady?
I don't recall. That doesn't shock me. I remember when Grady was like 5 minutes away from getting bulldozed and demolished. Yeah, I remember.
Excellent heart center, but everything beyond that, everybody's like, ugh.
My father, I got older and realized this. My father, when my father was rushing my mother to the hospital when she was going into labor with me, July 4th is when she was going into labor, 1986. Knowing what I know now, I know that my father drove past Grady to have me delivered at Piedmont Hospital.
That's great. You heard
he drove, because I had to like look at where we lived and looked at where Piedmont was. And then when I started driving, I was able to look at, he drove past this hospital and drove like an extra 10 minutes down the road so that he could make sure I was born.
Grady Wild, the grossest thing in my life happened to me at Grady. Like, ever. I was like, we was, I ain't gonna say poor.
You said you don't watch The Boys.
Nah.
Okay, I want to see if this is on par with The Boys. Go ahead.
If it is, that is wild because
Let's see. Gross. I bet it is.
So for all intents and purposes, we were lower at socioeconomic. We were poor.
Sure. Okay.
We didn't have a car. We took bus everywhere, including downtown, which is where my grandma, and you know where we was at in Decatur, so you gotta catch that 86 all the way down through by South Cab, hit freeway, and then go down to 5 Points.
Yeah. So that's the bus I used to take to Grand Hustle. It's like
right.
86. Yeah.
Oh, Howard Mill? We'll talk about that a little too.
Yeah. Okay.
But so we go to the pharmacy at Grady, and I'm probably 10, 11, 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I always went with her places just, so she would have somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't no slouch. She could get around by herself too.
Sure.
But we go into the pharmacy or walk up to the building with the pharmacy, and I always open the door for my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
I grab the door. There's the biggest loogie on the door handle that I don't see. And I touched it, and I think honestly too, when things happen to me, I take them very much in stride.
Sure.
Because I try to just very much live in the realism of it and not get too like,
right.
Because it freaks everybody else out too.
Sure. It's just like those videos you know on the internet of usually it's a woman who is screaming at something when it's just like, chill out.
Even when I was a kid, I very much realized that because I got like nothing but women in my family.
Sure.
So I grab it and I look at my hand and I'm like, that's disgusting. Let me go wash my hand, Grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the bathroom. The light's off in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I turn the light on and there is shit wall to wall smeared across this entire room.
Nice.
Except for 2 faucets. I go over, I turn those faucets on, I wash my hands, I walk out and close the door. And I don't think anything of it for like a couple years until compartmentalizing to the core. And that was the grossest thing that's ever happened to me.
Okay.
And that was in a hospital.
That's disgusting. The Boys is 20 times worse.
Ugh.
It's terrible. It's terribly gross. I love the show.
Ugh.
The show is lit. The only time I've heard of that happening was at my house. I never saw it.
That's fucking wild.
It was at my house, and my understanding was, my father told me this. I don't want to say who, but there was someone, damn, if I quantify it anymore, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's someone who I'm aware of the existence of, who went to do number 2 in my bathroom. Excuse me. And I don't know why they did it, but they decided to smear some of it on the walls.
Adult?
No.
Oh,
this is a child who's an adult now.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was told later that my father walked in and saw it. I don't know what happened, why this person did that. But I get the luxury of just being able to imagine it. You get the trauma of being able to relive it.
It made me realize things about how they treat poor people too. Like looking back, Probably in my 20s, I started realizing we were in facilities that did not care about us.
No, and you get older and like your scope of like the things you dealt with, you're more mature, your frontal lobe is fully developed. You're just like, oh, like this makes perfect sense. There are a few more things I wanted to cover with you. Your hero Diddy.
Boy, chill out. Chill.
We won't even go into Diddy and Vince because they're
Papa Diddy Pop.
Two sides of the same coin.
Those boys leveraging power to make people do things that they don't want to do for decades.
You know what? We're not gonna go into that.
Enough.
But here's what I do want to say to you. And I wanted to save this for close to the end because I need you to really listen to me. LeBron James is not the GOAT. He's not. Go ahead, take it in, take a pause, think about it, realize that I'm right.
What's your argument? Is it if it's just NBA championships?
No, it's not. I want you to listen to what I'm going to say. Whenever I go to the barbershop, not for my head, obviously, but for my beard. Whenever, it's a cliche barbershop, LeBron, Jordan, what about Kobe? Okay. This is what I always say. And I almost don't even like saying it because it shuts down the argument on both sides. I am confident it will do the same thing right here. There's a difference between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. You'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. Aaron Rodgers, to be as goofy as he is, and his heel turn will be studied until the end of time.
It's hilarious. It's a slow burn too.
For him to be who he is off the field, on the field, Aaron Rodgers is the best football player I've ever seen. There's a difference between being the greatest.
Wait, best quarterback or best football player?
Best quarterback.
Yeah.
The best thrower of the football I have ever seen. Aaron Rodgers can make throws that Tom Brady cannot. And I'm talking about physically
completely
make this throw. But in the playoffs, you want old GOAT, Tom Brady. That's who you want.
Wealth of knowledge in a certain way.
In clutch in the moments he needs to be, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Tom don't overthink it. He ain't X's and O's. It's not what's the best football play. It's I'm Tom Brady, and I'm about to make this happen.
He's in that segment of society where it's like his confidence and belief in the system and complete ability to sell out to it made him the superstar that he is today. I think that's really a white playbook too, honestly.
I think that was true for him when he was in New England.
Yeah.
I give him more credit after he did it in Tampa because that's when I learned, he's the system.
Yeah.
It's Tom. He's the culture. He's the system. Now, I say all that to say, and you're smart. You know where I'm going with this. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. LeBron James is the best basketball player of all time. And those are two different things.
Yeah.
When you look at where Michael was and where the league was at that time, there are things that Michael did that LeBron he can't do that. He can't. And I'm not talking about on the court. I'm talking about off the court. He can't because he doesn't exist in that time.
Right.
Is it unfair to hold that against LeBron? Maybe. It might be unfair.
Yeah.
But there are things that I could say that LeBron did that Jordan could never do. I don't compare them to in that way because there are things that Jordan did that LeBron can't do because of the timing of things. I can't say, well, Jordan sold more shoes than LeBron. Well, yeah, LeBron will never be able to sell more shoes than Jordan.
25-year head start.
Right. So I can't,
15,
I don't use that against him. I say that LeBron is not the GOAT. He is the best of all time. I have never seen a basketball player like LeBron James before. If you are building a basketball player, that is who I want.
He's averaging what D Rose averaged in his MVP season last year.
Right. Now, I will say, numbers can be skewed.
Especially today's NBA is different from even 15 years ago.
Right. So I do get what you're saying. That's still remarkable. It's almost like when who was that? Ed Reed. They asked Ed Reed the other day, what would you do in this time's NFL? He said, I'd have more picks.
Yeah.
He said, because I didn't just hit guys. Yeah, I like to hit guys. He said, but they throw the ball more.
Yeah.
So I'd have more picks. And yes, he would, because he was smart. Do I think LeBron is the GOAT? No. Is he the best basketball player of all time? Yes. Is LeBron James a better basketball player than Michael Jordan? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Is Michael Jordan a greater basketball player than LeBron James? Is Michael Jordan a greater basketball player than LeBron James? The answer is yes.
I feel like at a certain point, it's like we're talking about brands when we get into great.
Like, this is when let me quantify it, because I don't think I did. When I say great, I'm talking about not just your ability. I'm talking about your resume. And I'm not talking about just championships, because LeBron has won championships with 3 different teams.
Yeah.
And that is insane. That's wild. People like to discount the Lakers bubble championship, and you can't.
Valid. I don't care what nobody says.
It's a championship. You might want to put an asterisk by it. You can put an asterisk by it. Yeah. It's still a ring. It's still a championship. If by certain logic, it might be the most valid, because everyone was on the same playing field, and there was no variables, no long trial, no none of that. It's just shut up and hoop. Now,
that's a wild, unpopular opinion, but I agree with it.
Like, it is what it is. Now, as far as Michael goes, when you're talking about global reach, LeBron will never, and it's not about fair or unfair, because if we're just going to make the comparison, we have to make the comparison. You existed at different times. You accomplished different things existing in these times. LeBron, some might say, is more popular because of social media, the way that we have it nowadays, or more known because of that. Okay. Michael didn't have social media to use that as a tool. Yeah. Maybe he could have been twice as popular than he was. I don't know. You see, cameras can't see it. You see all these boxes. They're 90% Jordans. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
I don't play with Mike. Like, that's my guy. But from an objective standpoint, I think that LeBron is a better basketball player than Jordan. I think Jordan is a greater basketball player.
I think Jordan is the most impactful basketball player of all time. He, to me, the 20 years doing what LeBron's doing, like 2 decades worth.
It's longevity, sure.
At such a level, too.
Absolutely.
People have 10-year runs.
That's why I say he's better. I'll say this. Jordan doing what he did, the same way LeBron doing what he did, will never be replicated.
Right.
Neither one of them will be replicated. I don't personally like comparing them in general, but if I'm going to, I say there is great and there's better. If you tell me what ability do I want Aaron Rodgers. If you tell me what legacy I want Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I don't even have to think about either one of those questions. It's not, well, maybe I want Aaron Rodgers' legacy. No, the fuck I don't. 1 ring with all that ability? Hell no.
Wild.
Hell no.
That's that Favre effect.
And he didn't have a defense. You that great? You that guy? Come on now. I also think that LeBron, and me and my homeboy talked about this. That's why I set up the analogy the way that I did. Yeah. When I said, I am Tom Brady, I'm going to make this happen. And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers doesn't do that too. So maybe that's kind of unfair to point that out. I have seen LeBron make the right basketball play and lose the game. And people say, well, he made the right play. No, if you that guy, you get that ball. I'm not making the right play. Kobe didn't make the right play.
I'm making the play.
He hit the game winner. That's what he did. Mike was like, oh, the right play is to pass to Steve Kerr. And he did.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are plenty of times the right play was pass to BJ Armstrong. But no, I'm the GOAT.
Didn't BJ like have a public thing where he was like, yeah, I wish I had got more burn?
Yeah, he did. Man, let me tell you, there were a lot of times I've seen LeBron made the right basketball play. Just, the X's and O's, this is the right play. He made the right read. He got it to the right guy. Guy missed the shot. Okay, and maybe it wasn't a game winner. I saw it in the Warriors series in 2016 after he came back. Now that's something Mike has never done.
That was a beautiful comeback.
That 3-1
that was crazy.
Let me tell you,
watching it in real time was insane.
You couldn't. I remember the memes when they were down 3-1.
Yeah,
I posted some of them, and I'm gonna tell you can't take that away from Bron. He did that shit. He did that. When you talk about great, if you want to add that to like the greatness, like argument. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I when athletes it's been characterized as somebody having that look in their eye.
Sure.
You got that look in your eye.
I've seen LeBron. I'm not saying he's only had it once.
Yeah.
I've seen LeBron have that one time, and you know what I'm talking about. Game 6 in Boston.
Woo.
When he had that look, I said, that's the Bron I was talking about.
Everybody on this court.
That's the get out of my way. I'm not passing you the ball. I'm not making the right basketball play. Get the hell out of the way.
The ultimate green light.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm LeBron. I ain't going out like this. We not doing this again. That's why I'm like, yes. And if he had kept doing that, okay, way better. I've seen Jordan with that scowl, like, get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, do I think that Jordan didn't always win? Jordan left a playoff game with cramps before. People like to forget that.
Yeah.
Jordan's been swept before in the first round multiple times.
Early in his career.
Yes. So we can't have revisionist history on these guys.
Right.
But I've never seen Jordan come back from 3-1 in the finals, because to come back from 3-1, you have to let a game 7 happen. And Jordan has never let a game 7 happen in the finals. He never has.
That's true too.
It's never happened. Once he got you there, oh, you the best team from the other conference? Yeah, my foot's on your neck. Like, that's it. Like, oh, you think a 7 is going to happen? All right, let me let the NBA make some revenue. I'll give you 6.
So it's like, I think the argument of Jordan to LeBron as far as overall greatness comes down to how a person perceives life, I think. Do they enjoy hearing the story of somebody getting to a certain point, and Jordan being, and for all intents and purposes, plateauing at just above everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is here, and bro just goes,
Sure. I get that.
Or are we on a hero's journey like LeBron seems to be on, where he's just trudging through time trying to beat all these weird milestones that only appear as he goes further?
What do you value? What do you prioritize?
Playing with your son.
That's
insane. No matter how it occurred.
No, and we talked about nepotism. And I ain't got no problem with nepotism.
Me neither.
Because let me tell you, do you know how many children of basketball players and athletes came in the league and were terrible?
You know how many bankers and fucking lawyers
and their kids couldn't handle it? So they had
30-year careers off the strength of their daddies.
There's an element of hard work that does have to, especially professional athletes. There's an element of hard work that is added to it. I'm not going to sit here and say, I've seen people use the logic of, well, this is LeBron's fault for saying that his son is an NBA pro right now and he could start on any of the teams right now.
If that fault made his son $4 million.
But see, here's the thing. That's disdain you have for LeBron.
Right.
That's not disdain for the son. The idea of this is LeBron's fault. No, you can be an objective fucking person and say, okay, well, I'm not going to hold that against the kid, because he's a grown man, first of all. He's not the kid.
Yeah.
He's LeBron James Jr. He has a dad like we all have a dad or had a dad. And it becomes, all right, well, what's he going to do? Regardless of any expectations that his father personally has for him and that his father has personally said or outwardly said about his son. All right, let me judge him as a ball player, period. I think LeBron is fulfilling all the side quests that we never thought that for other people would be main quests.
Right.
Like, you could be the most trash NBA player and have longevity to the point where, oh, now I get to play with my son. For him, for that low-level guy, it's, man, that is a milestone that people would say, that's amazing you were able to do that and you were a bench player for 15, 20 years. Not LeBron, who is the star for this long, for that longevity, only to say, now here, I get to play with my child, with my son, my offspring. That is wild to me, and I think it's wild to say, when I walked across, how old is Bronny right now? 19, 20?
19.
When I walked across the stage to be the savior for a franchise, you were sitting in my nuts. And now, like, you're my teammate.
Yeah.
The only thing that's possibly even close to that I have any type of experience with is when I was born in that Piedmont hospital. There were people from my father's office that he worked at. There was a branch of my father's office that was in Piedmont, and his coworkers, when I was born, went to go see me. Oh, Ken just had a son. I remember one woman, Marianne. She's so sweet. Marianne's, oh, I just met Ken's son. Fast forward 23 years. My dad no longer worked at that company, but he had a good relationship with the people at that company. Sandy in HR. He said, my son.
My mom's name.
Really? Such a beautiful name. I love that name. Yeah. Sandy from HR. My dad had a good relationship with her. My dad gets me a job up there. And one day I'm walking in to get put on payroll, not even on the clock yet, get put on payroll. And Marianne sees me. She said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm your coworker now.
Yeah.
And that freaked her the fuck out. Like, I saw when you were fresh out of the womb, and now we on the same, like, we have the same HR person.
Time is weird like that.
It is. And children are the best barometer for time passing that I see. Eric, I like to end every podcast with these 5 questions and answer them as succinctly as you possibly can. Usually I get compliments on how good these are. I haven't gotten criticism yet. Maybe you'll be the first to criticize them. I don't know. These are my final 5. I'll probably just do away with the name.
I feel like I won't criticize just because, like, these about to have value I can feel.
Oh, man. That's me fishing for a compliment, and I got that. Hey. Eric, who gave you the best advice you've ever received?
Buck Godfrey.
Coach Buck.
Coach Buck.
What was his advice?
I had him for literature 3 years. 2 of those years, he handpicked me to be in his class. Me and him definitely developed a rapport. And he's one of the people that impacted me the most in my life as far as overall philosophy. I was, like, I just moved different. I grew up around everybody, but I just moved kind of different. And when people see things, especially kids, they tend to kind of maybe nitpick, make fun of things they don't understand with other people's personalities.
Sure.
And one of our classmates, I ain't gonna say who, well, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But he was like, hey, you be talking like you white all the time. And I stood up in class and I was just about to give him one across the face.
Sure.
And Coach Buck like, hey, get your dumb ass out of class. And, like, he should be just talking to everybody.
Was that the advice? Get your dumb ass out of class?
No, that wasn't the advice.
Okay.
He took me outside and he was like, man, you a dumb motherfucker. If this was 1960-something, they would hang your black ass with the rest of them. Get your stupid ass in there and sit down. And I thought about that and I was like, oh yeah, like, I'm me. Like, people won't come in here and be like, and differentiate me in any way, or society rather.
Sure.
Won't differentiate me any way
from another
nigga, so to speak.
Sure.
Like,
because your actions are the same.
So why am I stressing when people are trying to characterize me as something that 100% I know I'm not?
Absolutely.
So that was like a little odd turning point for me in my own discovery itself, and I appreciate Coach Buck for that.
To be yourself, basically.
Be yourself.
That whole talking white shit, I fucking hate that shit. Like,
yeah.
Because my mother has a master's in English. Like, I like to read.
Right.
I like to think I'm well spoken. My Decatur comes out when I'm annoyed. Yeah. My cuz or folk, what the fuck, bro? Like, that shit real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it comes out, but
it's just what's face. Once again, I don't know if it's word equivocalities. It's those equivocalities you got.
Sure.
You gotta have them in different arenas. You gotta
code switching, as some would say.
Being yourself, but code switching, because like
because it's still you. It's still very much you.
I can speak very intentfully and intensely about intellectual subjects and using vernacular that's specific to that particular realm.
I don't think anybody is just all one thing.
Right. You shouldn't be. That's a sad existence.
Yeah, and I think there are people. We talked about it before. I think you touched on it when you said there are people who are just outright happy. It's the people who are so oblivious to that.
Yeah.
that outside world. And I mean, I see a lot of it. I've gotten the whole "you talk white" when I was younger.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you
Yeah, I
know,
don't get it too
we're
much no
more
more.
mature now. It's like, no, I need to be an educated man.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not talking white, because I've heard plenty of white people who
Right.
don't.
And I was like, also getting around white people like later in life, I was like, I don't talk white.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you get older and you live life and you experience things, and you don't get your news from this dumbass station or this dumbass station. You actually experience people, and you're just like, oh, we're a lot more similar than we'd like to admit. But division is what sells. Okay, that was your first one. Now I want to know, what do you know well enough that you can teach an advanced class on it?
Ooh.
Other than Nina Turner.
Possibly, this is kind of, and you know about this, FL Studio.
I actually don't. I never used Fruity Loops.
You never used Fruity Loops?
I'm gonna tell you why I didn't. Because everyone else was using it.
That's fair.
And I said,
I remember you had an MPC 2000.
XL, sure did.
XL, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. I used Reason.
Yeah.
Because
that's the one I remember you saying.
I said I can't use what everyone else is using and expect to sound different.
That's fair.
So I said, okay, because FL Studio had the easier learning curve.
It has there's a distinct FL sound too.
And yes, especially at that time.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, Reason is harder, so I need to learn this one.
Yeah.
And what you end up learning is Reason really taught me how to tweak sounds a lot more, but you also end up learning it's all sequencers.
Right.
So Reason had something called redrum in it.
I remember redrum.
Which it was just the sequencer.
I messed around with Reason some too.
So like it was the same thing.
And it taught you how to think in terms of racks.
Yes.
And modules.
And plugging in, unplugging, and rerouting and all that.
That actually came in my brain learning the IT stuff. Mm-hmm. So Reason actually plugged in later.
And that's how a lot of us learn. Where do you feel the most confident?
You mean physical space, or you mean?
However you want to answer it. It could be physical space. It could be whatever subject. Like, where do you feel the most confident?
I feel the most confident probably explaining things that I have a real deep set interest into, like nutrition and health and ways to make yourself feel better, and holistic sort of means to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. And also the industrial complexes, talking about those things. Mm-hmm. I'm very much, people tend to say they don't see how things are interconnected, and I just can't see how they see that. But
you can't not see how things are interconnected.
Right. But like when people go there, and it's caused me in my own brain to sort of put things together in a certain way that could be explained if somebody had a few minutes. So I think I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty confident in doing that. And yeah, just talking about things I like in general.
Okay. When you die, Eric, what do you want to be remembered for the most?
I like to have kids. So being a good dad, that would be great. Mm-hmm. Generally being a fair person. Mm-hmm. Good and bad, they're gonna be what they are. But
sure.
I think fair is more easily definable.
I agree.
I say fair a lot because
I agree.
Whether it is fair or not, the universe allowed it to happen. So
sure,
how unfair could it be?
Good and bad is very subjective,
right?
And fair, that's why I like fair-minded, because we can be on two different sides of an issue, but both be fair-minded in the issue,
right?
And then people can have the opinion of whether or not something is good or bad. And the last thing, man, why are you here?
Because God needed me to be.
God, that's so perfect. Eric, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Rashad.
I appreciate you, brother.
My God.
It's always fantastic. And as I would tell you, like I tell everyone else, keep going.
All day.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.